Most people do not fail because they lack intelligence. They do not fail because the world is unfair. They do not fail because opportunity has been stolen from them. They fail for one reason. They quit on themselves before life ever had the chance to reward their persistence. Look around you. Cities are filled with broken dreams and finished businesses, abandoned goals, dusty journals filled with someday. The graveyard is the richest land on earth because it holds the unwritten books, the unbuilt companies, the unsung songs, the unlived destinies. And why? Because most people never learn the truth about success, that greatness belongs not to the chosen few, to the relentless few. The majority surrender long before they realize how close they were. They give up when the night gets darkest, not realizing dawn was about to break. They wait for the perfect moment, not understanding that moments only become perfect through action. They look at giants of industry, titans of creativity, leaders who shaped history, and they whisper, we're lucky, but luck is the excuse of those who fear discipline. Fortune is the reward of those who refuse to stop. Think of Thomas Edison's 10,000 failed attempts to create the light bulb, 10,000 reasons to quit, 10,000 nights of doubt. But history does not remember his failures. It remembers the one success that lit the world. He succeeded because he refused to surrender to the pattern that traps most people. He refused to be like the masses who crumble when tested. And that is why most people fail, because they misunderstand the very nature of failure. They think failure is final. They think failure is proof they aren't enough. But failure is only feedback. Failure is only the world asking, how badly do you want this? Are you willing to pay the price? Those who answer yes, who keep going despite rejection, despite ridicule, despite exhaustion, those are the ones who rise. Your mind is the battlefield, and most people lose that war before they even begin. They drown themselves in self-doubt, comparing their weaknesses to others' strengths. They let fear of embarrassment paralyze them. They tell themselves stories of limitation until those stories become chains. But the truth is this: no one is born with chains. We forge them ourselves, link by link, excuse by excuse, fear by fear. And the good news? Anything forged can be broken. The difference between those who fail and those who succeed is not talent, not luck, not privilege. It is a decision. A decision to keep going when it would be easier to stop. A decision to believe when logic says there's no reason to. A decision to master the mind, because the mind, when mastered, bends the world to its vision. Carnegie knew it. Ford knew it. Lincoln, born in poverty, knew it. Walt Disney, bankrupt and betrayed, knew it. They understood that success is not given, it is demanded. Demanded through resilience. Demanded through persistence. Demanded through the unshakable conviction that no obstacle is greater than the human spirit armed with purpose. So let me tell you the truth: most schools, most parents, most societies will never tell you you're not failing because you cannot succeed. You are failing because you are trapped in the habits of the masses. Habits of hesitation, habits of distraction, habits of small thinking. Most people settle for survival when they were built for significance. Most people choose comfort when greatness requires fire. Most people trade possibility for security, and in doing so, they chain themselves to mediocrity. But if you are still listening, you are not most people. You are here because something inside you refuses to die. A whisper that says you were made for more. You know, there's another level, another life, another destiny calling your name. And that destiny will never be claimed by hesitation. It will only be claimed by those willing to fight against the tide of average. Most people fail because they do not understand the law of clarity. They drift through life like a ship without a compass, hoping the wind will carry them to success. But hope is not a strategy, and drifting is not direction. The successful know exactly what they want, and they burn that vision into their minds with such intensity that the world itself begins to bend to their will. Napoleon Hill called it a definite major purpose, a single, consuming obsession that drives your every action. Without it, you are like the millions who wake up tired, go to jobs they hate, and wonder why they feel empty. They fail not because they lack ability, but because they lack a target. Imagine trying to hit a bullseye with your eyes closed. You may have the bow. You may have the arrows, but without sight. You will always miss. Look at Henry Ford. He had one vision: to build a car the average man could afford. People laughed, mocked, doubted, but he did not waver. His clarity gave him power. His purpose gave him courage. While others changed direction with every criticism, Ford stood firm. That is why his name lives on, while the names of his critics are forgotten. And this is where most people fail. They allow the noise of the world to drown out the signal of their own hearts. They chase 10 different goals at once, abandoning each when progress feels slow. They quit too soon because they have no vision strong enough to anchor them through the storm. The man or woman who succeeds is the one who can say with conviction, "This is what I will achieve. This is who I will become. Nothing and no one will turn me aside." But clarity alone is not enough. Most people know what they want, at least vaguely. They say they want wealth, they want happiness, they want freedom. But wanting is cheap. Everyone wants. The reason most fail is because they never transform desire into discipline. They underestimate the price of success, and when the bill comes due in early mornings, late nights, rejection, sacrifice, and ridicule knock on their door, they turn away. Think of Abraham Lincoln. He lost election after election. He was crushed by failure after failure. He was mocked as unfit for leadership, yet he refused to stop. Discipline kept him moving when logic told him to quit. Persistence carried him until the world finally recognized what he had known all along, that his destiny was to lead. And what about you? How many times have you let discipline slip away? How many mornings did you hit snooze when you could have been building your empire? How many times did you choose comfort over growth, excuses over execution, distraction over destiny? These are the choices that separate the few from the many. Most people fail because they wait for motivation instead of building discipline. They wait to feel ready, but readiness is a lie. Edison did not feel ready 10,000 times, but he worked. Disney did not feel ready when he sketched his mouse on a piece of paper, but he worked. You must act first. The feeling will follow. Success does not wait for your emotions to align. It rewards your actions, your consistency, your refusal to stop. And yet, discipline without belief is fragile. This is the third great reason most fail. They do not believe deeply enough in themselves. They may work hard for a time. They may sacrifice for a season. Inside their mind, a voice whispers, "What if I am not enough? What if I am not worthy? What if I fail?" And they all laugh. That voice kills more dreams than any circumstance. But belief is a choice. It is not arrogance. It is certainty that your life was not meant to be wasted. It is the recognition that if anyone in history could rise from nothing and carve greatness into their destiny, then so can you. Belief is the seed. Discipline is the water. Clarity is the sunlight. Together, they create the unstoppable force of a purpose-driven life. When you understand this, you stop living like the majority. You stop failing for the same tired reasons. You stop chasing temporary pleasure and start demanding permanent progress. You rise each morning with conviction. You act even when you are tired. You believe even when no one else does. That is the mindset that transforms an ordinary life into an extraordinary legacy. And make no mistake, legacy is what this is about. Most people fail because they think in days and weeks, while the greats think in decades and centuries. Most people want the immediate payoff. They want the applause today, the reward now, the comfort instantly. But greatness belongs to those who are willing to plant trees under whose shade they may never sit. Look at Carnegie, who built libraries so future generations could learn. Look at Disney, who dreamed a world that would live on long after him. Look at the entrepreneurs, the inventors, the leaders who thought beyond their own lifetime. They succeeded because they refused the small vision of comfort and embraced the eternal vision of contribution. Most people fail because they have no resilience. They crumble at the first sign of adversity, as if hardship is a sign they are on the wrong path rather than the very test that forges them into greatness. Life will strike you down again and again. It will laugh at your plans. It will strip you of comfort, rob you of certainty, and test your resolve in ways you cannot imagine. And this is where the weak fall apart. They see failure as final. They see rejection as a verdict. They confuse obstacles with impossibility. But the few, the rare, the great, they understand that resilience is the gateway to mastery. They understand that every setback is simply the universe asking one question. You truly want this, or were you only pretending? Every difficulty is a filter separating those who only wish for success from those who are destined to claim it. Thomas Edison was asked how he endured thousands of failures without giving up. He replied, "I have not failed. I have simply found 10,000 ways that will not work." That is resilience. That is the refusal to bow to the illusions of defeat. Most people fail because they lack this spirit. They think resilience is a trait you are born with. Resilience is a decision. It is forged in the fire of rejection, built in the silence of long nights, strengthened in the loneliness of pursuit. It is the muscle of the soul, and every time life knocks you down, you must choose stay on the ground like the masses or rise again like the few. But resilience alone is not enough. You must also be adaptable. Most people fail because they cling to a single method, a single path, a single way of thinking. They forget that while the vision must remain fixed, the strategy must remain flexible. Look at nature. The tree that bends in a storm survives, while the rigid one snaps. The river flows around rocks, never stopping, always finding a way forward. Henry Ford once refused to alter his Model T, believing it was perfect as it was. 4 years, he resisted change. But the world shifted, and competitors adapted. Eventually, he was forced to learn the hard truth. Success demands adaptability. You must be willing to change your methods, update your knowledge, refine your strategy, while never abandoning your purpose. Most people fail because they confuse stubbornness with persistence. They cling to dead methods, outdated beliefs, and expired strategies. They refuse to grow, and so they wither. The successful, on the other hand, remain eternal students. They are flexible in the approach, but immovable in the vision. And yet, beneath all of this clarity, discipline, belief, resilience, adaptability, there remains one enemy more dangerous than all others: fear. Fear is the silent assassin of dreams. Fear of failure. Fear of judgment. Fear of rejection. Fear of poverty. Fear of ridicule. Fear whispers into the ear of every person who ever dared to rise above the crowd. It says, stay where you are. Do not risk. Do not leap. Do not build. Do not dare. Be safe. Be comfortable. Be like everyone else. Most people fail because they obey fear. They let it dictate their choices, paralyze their actions, and shrink their vision. They mistake fear for wisdom, when in truth, fear is the greatest liar of all. Think of Walt Disney, fired from a newspaper for lacking creativity, bankrupted multiple times, mocked for his childish ideas. At any moment, fear could have stopped him. Fear could have whispered, "They are right. You are foolish. Quit." But he did not obey. He walked straight into fear and built a world that continues to inspire billions. Think of Lincoln, who faced depression so dark that his friends hid knives from him. Fear could have drowned him in that darkness, but he kept walking. He kept fighting. And because he did, he shaped a nation. The truth is this: fear never goes away. The difference between those who fail and those who succeed is not the absence of fear, but the decision to act despite it. Courage is not the lack of fear. Courage is the mastery of it. So ask yourself, are you afraid of failure, judgment, losing? If so, understand this: you will fail, you will be judged, you will lose. Everyone does. The difference is that the successful use failure as a teacher, judgment as fuel, and loss as training. The unsuccessful use them as excuses. Most people fail because they think fear means stop. The successful know fear means go. It is the compass pointing directly at growth. It is the signal that you are on the edge of transformation. If your dream does not scare you, it is not big enough. If your goal does not intimidate you, it is not worthy of you. Fear will never vanish. Neither will your power to choose. You can submit to it like the masses, or you can rise above it like the greats. That choice will decide your destiny. Most people fail because they neglect gratitude. They live in constant pursuit of what they don't have, blind to the power of what they already possess. They chase endlessly, without appreciation. Nothing they achieve will ever be enough. Gratitude is not weakness, it is power. It is the secret fuel that multiplies blessings. Andrew Carnegie, one of the richest men of his time, credited his empire not only to his vision, but to his ability to remain thankful for his workers, thankful for his opportunities, thankful even for the setbacks that refined his judgment. Gratitude turns hardship into a teacher, failure into stepping stones, and small beginnings into seeds of greatness. Most people fail because they see only scarcity. They focus on lack, and in doing so, multiply it. But those who succeed understand the law of expansion. Whatever you focus on grows. Focus on fear, and it consumes you. Focus on doubt, and it paralyzes you. Focus on gratitude, and it opens the floodgates of abundance. But gratitude alone is not enough. You must also be a lifelong learner. Most people fail because they stop learning once school ends. They confuse a diploma with education, and in doing so, they seal their fate. The world changes daily, and those who refuse to adapt are left behind. Think of Benjamin Franklin, who, despite being one of the wisest men of his era, called himself a perpetual student. He studied languages, sciences, philosophy, politics not because he had to, but because he knew growth is endless. Think of modern leaders who read relentlessly, study relentlessly, sharpen themselves daily. They know that every page read, every mentor sought, every lesson absorbed becomes an edge in the battlefield of life. Most people fail because they believe ignorance is harmless. But ignorance is not neutral, it is costly. It robs you of opportunities, blinds you to possibilities, and chains you to mediocrity. Knowledge is the liberator. Learning is the weapon. Growth is the duty. Yet there is still a higher dimension, contribution. Most people fail because they live only for themselves. They think success is measured by what they take, when in truth, real success is measured by what they give. Wealth, power, recognition, all of it is hollow if it ends with you. Think of Edison, who did not hoard his inventions, but unleashed them upon the world, lighting up cities and homes. Think of Carnegie, who built libraries and schools, declaring that the man who dies rich dies disgraced. Think of Martin Luther King Jr., who sacrificed everything not for himself, but for the generations to come. Contribution is the ultimate amplifier of success. When you live only for yourself, your power is limited. But when you live for others, your legacy becomes immortal. Most people fail because their vision stops at their own doorstep. The greats succeed because their vision includes humanity. And yet, after gratitude, after learning, after contribution, remains the final ingredient, the one force that determines everything. Action. Most people fail because they never move. They read, they plan, they dream, they prepare, but they do not act. They wait for the perfect moment, the flawless plan, the guaranteed outcome. And while they wait, their lives expire. The cemetery is filled with unfulfilled dreams, unwritten books, unsung songs, and unstarted businesses, all because someone was waiting for certainty that never came. The successful understand that action is the great clarifier. Action creates momentum. Action transforms vision into reality. Action, even when imperfect, is superior to endless hesitation. Consider this. The Wright brothers did not build a perfect plane. Their first flights were short, flawed, unstable. But each action taught them something. Each failure brought them closer to mastery. If they had waited for perfection, humanity might still be walking on the ground. Most people fail because they never take the first step. They convince themselves they are not ready. They tell themselves they need more time, more money, more knowledge, more permission. But success belongs to the doers, not the dreamers. The world rewards those who dare, those who move, those who leap before they feel ready. And when you combine action with clarity, with discipline, with belief, with resilience, with adaptability, with gratitude, with learning, with contribution, you become unstoppable. You become the kind of person who cannot be denied, the kind of force the world must recognize, the kind of soul who bends reality itself. So remember this, most people fail because they stop at intention. The successful succeed because they live in action. And the moment you act, even imperfectly, you separate yourself from 99% of the world. And so here we stand at the edge of two paths. One path, the road most travel, leads to regret. It is wide, it is crowded, it is comfortable, but it is filled with souls who once dreamed and then settled. Men and women who once burned with ambition. Let fear smother the flame. That road leads to mediocrity, to excuses, to a quiet life of what if. Other path is narrow. It is steep. It demands everything from you, your courage, your discipline, your persistence, your belief. Few choose it, but those who do carve their names into history. That road leads to greatness. That road leads to the life you were meant to live. That road is walked by those who refuse to fail, who refuse to stop, who refuse to die with their song still inside them. Most people fail because they never choose. They drift. They float. They let the current of life carry them where it may. But if you are listening to this, if something inside you is stirring right now, it means you are being called to the other path. Success is not an accident. It is not luck. It is not fate. Success is engineered by choice, by clarity, by persistence, by fire. Success is born when you master your mind, when you take command of your thoughts, when you declare with unshakable certainty, I will not be average. I will not settle. I will not fail. Do not wait for permission. Do not wait for the stars to align. Do not wait for the world to hand you what only you can claim. The time is now. The opportunity is now. The power is already within you. Every legend you admire, Lincoln, Edison, Ford, Disney, Jobs, Oprah, they were no different from you. Flesh and blood, doubts and fears, failures and flaws. But they made a decision. They refused to quit. They refused to be ordinary. And history bent around their determination. What about you? Will you be remembered as someone who almost lived? Someone who almost tried? Someone who almost made it? Or will you be remembered as the one who rose, the one who broke the chains, the one who proved that destiny is not given, it is taken? You have the same 24 hours as the greats, the same mind capable of infinite thought, the same heart capable of infinite courage. The same breath capable of declaring a new reality. The only difference between those who fail and those who succeed is the decision to act, to believe, to persist until the world yields. So rise. Rise with fire in your spirit. Rise with clarity in your vision. Rise with discipline in your habits. Rise with gratitude in your heart. Rise with resilience in your soul. Rise with the courage to act today, not tomorrow. Rise because mediocrity is no longer an option. Rise because the world needs what only you can give. Rise because your time is now. Do not be most people. Be the few. Be the rare. Be the unstoppable. And when history asks who you were, let the answer thunder across generations. I was the one who refused to fail. I was the one who turned vision into reality. I was the one who mastered my mind, and in doing so, mastered my world.